Hello and welcome to our little section of cyberspace. My name is Shani-faye Chambers. I am from Perth in Western Australia, and I'm the creator and the trainer of the Sacred Ancestral Clearing and DNA Healing. So I'm here today to answer some of the questions because I'm sure you're asking, what even is this? How does it work? What can it do for me? What kind of results can I expect? So I thought it'd be easier just to jump on and record some videos because this process is huge. And I could actually talk for days and days and days about it. So I'll try and narrow it down. So basically, I created this process back in 2018 from a place of great understanding of quite a few different modalities. My healing journey began back when I was 10 years old. I first learned how to do Reiki and started learning how to work with energy, working with spirit, that kind of thing. I spent most of my 20s studying so many different modalities. I got an advanced diploma of kinesiology. I'm a master practitioner of hypnotherapy, NLP, life coaching, pranic psychotherapy, so many things. I love healing. I love finding out what are the quickest and easiest tools to get the best results. Because one thing I've discovered in my own personal journey is that healing is so easy when you have the right tools. When you don't have the right tools, you go round and round and round in circles, getting stuck in the same pain points and nothing actually shifts. And so it has always been a massive passion of mine all my life because I had to learn how to heal myself first. It's always been a massive passion of mine to work out what really works, what's really going to get the results. And back in 2018, I learned this amazing therapy called timeline therapy, where we were able to go back along our timeline and shift negative emotions or limiting beliefs, whether it was sometimes it was coming down from a great, 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 great grandfather. For example, that's where the anger would come in, or a belief system that I'm not good enough actually came from a great, 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 great grandmother. And I found that really interesting because I'd learned a lot about cellular memory and things like that when I studied kinesiology. Kinesiology is pretty big. It took me 3 years full time learning kinesiology and learning all the ins and outs of the physiology and the spirituality and the emotional state and the anatomy and everything. It's very involved. And I learned back then as well that your cells hold on to everything. It's got a memory of what's happened to your parents, grandparents, great, great, great grandparents. You know, science has actually proven now that we hold 7 generations worth of trauma within our cellular memory and our DNA. I was reading an article a couple of days ago. I think it was worms they were testing it on, but they were testing 14 generations. So really, how much of what we are carrying is actually our grandparents or our ancestors. So basically, I'd learned this timeline therapy. I thought it was really cool that we could go in and just, unravel something from a generational line. But I asked the question, why are we only clearing through one emotion or one belief system at a time? And why are we only clearing it from one timeline at a time? What happens if it came through multiple? I'm pretty sure most of my ancestors experienced anger. I'm pretty sure most of them had things around not being good enough. Why am I only clearing it from one line at a time? I'm like, can't we do this quicker? And then Spirit said, yes, we can. So I've always had great communication with, the spiritual realm and my guides and guardians, and they'll show me pictures and help me heal others, help me heal myself. And then they showed me the picture of all of our ancestors and all of our family members all gathered together in the sacred valley of your ancestors and performing a beautiful ceremonial energetic clearing on everyone at once. And I went, wow, that's a really good idea. Like I learned with kinesiology when I was studying that I work on kids who aren't in the room. I work via the mother. It's called surrogation. You can actually just call the energy of that person in and heal. Same with Reiki, same with pranic psychotherapy. We are taught to heal people distantly on the other side of the world. They don't have to be present. You don't have to be hands-on, so long as you've got permission. So I went, of course. We just ask for permission. We just call in the ancestors. We call in the higher self aspects of the family members. We ask for permission and we get in there and we just clear everybody at once. And that's where it was birthed from. So I created this beautiful process. It was only a 20-minute process when I first created it. And I practiced on a couple of my friends. One was a practitioner herself. She was a master hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner. And I practiced on her. And she had older children. Most of them all had families of their own. And one of her daughters had been estranged for over a year, had no contact with her. She'd been lost in the drug and alcohol, meth and domestic violence scene. And that child of hers had actually lost contact with all her children as well. And 2 days later, the daughter rings up and says, "I'm sorry, I miss you, I love you." They hadn't heard from her for over a year. Then the next day again rings up and says, "I'm sorry, I miss you, I want to get clean, come and save me." And my friend has rung me going, "I can't believe this has happened." And I'm like, well, I kind of can, but I also kind of can't believe it either. But that was the intention, was to actually heal through the whole lineage. The second person I trialed it on, very similar thing. It was one of my best friends. She'd been my best friend for 15 years. Her mother was pretty horrible to her. They weren't in contact. They've never been able to have a relationship because the mother was so nasty to her. Anyway, the next day she got this really beautiful, loving, long-winded text from the mother. And we're looking at that going, who wrote that? That can't be from your mum. Her mum was a 9 a.m. alcohol drinker, scotch, 9 a.m. every morning. By lunchtime she was past it, way past it. And she got this message in the evening. The beautiful messages continued. And my friend now has a beautiful relationship with her mother. The first two people I trialed it on, their family members got massive results. They got massive results. And it was then that I'm like, hey, I'm really onto something. So I spent a lot of time really working with a lot of people, making sure that the results can be replicated, making sure that I can actually replicate the process to teach other people. And guess what? The results continued, the ripple effect continued. I must say, I do not guarantee results for family members for two reasons. One, it's free will. They might not want to change. Or two, we can shift all that pain, we can shift all the trauma, we can remove the negative emotions, the limiting beliefs, the curses, whatever's going on in your lineage. We can remove that. However, if that individual doesn't get their lesson or their learning, then they're not going to change. They're going to recreate the problem. So we do everything we can within the process to actually get all your family members to be cleared as well, and to get downloads of information that's going to help them move forward. But at the end of the day, it is down to free will and them wanting to change. So I just like to let everybody know that I don't guarantee results for family members. However, the person who goes through the process themselves goes through so much change. It is amazing. So what we're actually doing is it's a form of trance work. We're putting you down into a nice, beautiful trance, a bit like a shamanic journey. So it's a bit more than a meditation. It's very energetic. So I'm instructing the energy to go in and to clear and to remove a lot of the old pains, traumas, patterns, limitations. We're removing a lot of the funky, chunky stuff. We're removing negative entities. We're removing dark force energy. We're removing dark magic, because, like it or not, it's kind of in there. And the thing is that we can't really remove the pain without removing the yucky energy that's attached to it. So we've got to do it both, whether it's something that you believe in or not. This is why we get such a good result, is because we're clearing it all in one go. And we're doing it very gently. We're doing it with a lot of love. We're doing it with a lot of permission, but it is one of the deepest, easiest, and most profound energetic removals of anything that's not of love and light that I have ever come across. And the results speak for themselves. So we actually clear the entire lineage first, and then we bring in some healing and some activations, like we activate their heart chakras, we activate the connection to their higher self, so that their information, their lessons, their love and light can actually start to filter through for them, so they can start making different choices in life. So that's the ancestral clearing in a nutshell. It's actually a lot more involved than that, but for time's sake, I'm just going to narrow it down a little bit. Then I take the client, still in that beautiful trance-like state. We travel back to conception, back to the time when you were choosing your DNA, knowing what you know now with the release of all those old limitations and the blessings of your ancestors, what would you like to install? So, this part of the process is actually a form of hypnosis. However, hypnosis, that's me as a practitioner putting suggestions in. Say, for example, no longer want to smoke cigarettes, or you want to eat clean and healthy, whatever the suggestion that the hypnotherapist puts in. I'm not putting suggestions in here. Neither are my practitioners. We are asking the clients questions while they're under trance, so they can find their own suggestions, they can find their own answers. I'm just saying, what would you like to install? And because you're in a nice, beautiful, blissed out trance-like state, we have just cleared, generations worth of trauma out of the cellular memory. You're in a really beautiful place, a reset space. So what actually starts to happen is all the downloads of all the beautiful new positive emotions, new belief systems. People are in trance going, oh my God, I am worthy. I am beautiful. I am safe. All the belief systems that you actually need to overcome all that old trauma just comes through. And it's the client that is reprogramming themselves. It's not me doing it. I'm just holding space and asking the right questions. So we spend a bit of time back at conception, allowing the client to reprogram their unconscious mind or the subconscious mind. And we're also redesigning the DNA energetically and activating the light codes. So light codes, a code is a program. We all have these codes within us, codes for health, codes for success, codes for love. However, it's very hard to activate these codes for health, for example. If you're a smoker and you've got illness that runs in the family and unresolved trauma that's actually creating that illness, how are you meant to activate your health codes when you've got all that trauma in the way? So the removal helps to clear that. The unconscious mind and the subconscious mind start to reprogram the belief systems. And then we can actually bring some light in and some intention and consciousness in to activate all the codes that you want, so that you can actually move forward in life with more success, reaching your potential. You're no longer carrying all the burdens of your ancestors. You are in creative control of what it is that you want to create in your life, within your cellular memory, within your DNA, within your unconscious, subconscious mind programming. So it's very, very powerful. We spend a bit of time back at conception doing that. And then I take the client up to meet their higher self. And I ask the higher self some more questions. And what comes through just comes through like an epiphany. It's suddenly all those old problems that you had become resolved. Before I start with a client, I will ask them, okay, what would you like to clear today? Let's set the intentions. What's all the crap that's sitting there? And I will have an entire page, sometimes both sides, of pain, of trauma, of serious, painful events, sexual abuse that has run through families, war trauma, anxiety, depression, phobias. And while we're with the higher self, after having done the removal, the clearing, after reprogramming the DNA, I'm going to sit with the higher self and I'm going to go through that list now. And I'm going to say, okay, so how do you feel about that old problem of I'm not good enough? Is it still there or is it gone? And 9 times out of 10, it's all already gone. However, if there's a little bit of an emotional charge on any of that stuff, I ask the client, okay, so what does your higher self need you to know to be able to release that? And they'll get a downpour of information of what it is that they need to be able to resolve the issue. And at the end of that session, that entire page, sometimes both sides of the page, it's all gone. There's no more emotional charge because we have cleared it from the cellular memory. We've cleared it from the energetic bodies. We've cleared it from the conscious, unconscious, and subconscious minds. And we've done deep soul healing, which is when we tap into the higher self and we ask the higher self, overall, why have we chosen this lesson? How can we resolve it? So at the end of that 2-hour session, we then bring them back into the room and I check through that list again now that they're back conscious, and it's just all gone. This process is incredibly profound. And people ask, how many sessions do I need? I'm like, well, in my experience, everything that you come in with is gone. However, healing is a journey. There's always going to be more stuff. Some of my practitioners have gone through this process 10 times because I do it in a lot of my workshops. I teach it, obviously, in the practitioner training. I run retreats and I do it a couple of times within the retreat as well. So some of them have gone through it 10 times. And they say the same thing. You're never going over the old stuff again, but you're always getting in deeper and deeper and clearing more. So if this sounds like something you need, keep having a look through the website. Have a look at what the sessions involve. Have a look at what the training involves. If you're a practitioner that wants to add this tool to your tool belt, have a look at the testimonials. You can book a session with me, or you can book a session with any of my practitioners. And I'm really looking forward to working with you, because you know what? We need this. We all need this. You know, our ancestors need to clear what they're still holding on to. Our future generations don't need this. They don't need the crap that we've carried. They need to be able to step into the new earth with the new vibrations and the new frequencies and the love and the light that we are now having the space to carry. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, and I'm hoping to work with you in the future.